Hey, this is Lucas and Julia, and we are doing our first episode of La Familia winery vlogs in English. And we thought this might be a good chance to also reach an audience which is maybe not super familiar with speaking German, but is still interested in how we built up this winery here in the beautiful Rheingau region in Germany. So our task for today is actually just looking on our vineyards, checking up on them, how are the wines looking, how are they developing, and in German it's called Weinbergskontrollfahrt, that's right? I have no idea how this is called in English, maybe vineyard control ride, control run, I don't know, something like this. And we take the time until we arrive to ask some questions to Julia, I would say. So first question, Julia, who are you and what do you do?
I'm Julia, I'm Luca's wife, as he said. I'm basically one of the founders of La Familia Winery and the official owner of the winery. I'm in charge of holding all the pieces together in our winery. That means from organizing all the operations with our partners, from working on the branding, marketing, social media content, to finance stuff and everything that comes together, packaging and so on. So basically you could also compare it to a bootstrapping founder position within La Familia Winery. And that's what I'm currently up to.
One important question, because you didn't say something about the winemaking or the farming, etc. So who's doing that? Because you just said you're not doing this, right?
Yeah, so that's true. So I'm not a trained winemaker or I didn't study anything like winemaking. I actually started business, economics, business, how it's called? Yeah, business. And I've been actually working in the tech and startup field over the last 10 years, building companies and so on. So that's why we are working together with partners that support us in the winemaking operation. So we have one partner that supports us in the work outside in the vineyard, and another partner that helps us to produce the wine in the cellar. So we put all our brains together, for example, on how we want the wines to be, which kind of style we like, and our partner helps us to achieve that with his knowledge about enology and how to transform grapes into wine. And we want to learn as much as we can from our partners, because at some point we want to be able to take over more of the whole winemaking process. But for now, we believe that it's a good setup to share the knowledge, combine everything, and get the best people together to make this dream come true of La Familia Winery.
Julia said something very interesting, is that right now we are sharing the tasks and the responsibilities in the newly founded winery with some partners, and I think that's something which is quite unique for a winery of this small of a size. So we currently have around 2.3, I always say around 3 hectares, but 2.3 hectares. And normally the splitting of responsibilities only happens in bigger wineries. I think in general, Germany has small wineries on average. I think if you compare it maybe to New Zealand, Spain, North America, etc., I think each winery, even the small ones, they have a multiple of what we have right now. But here in Germany, wineries tend to be smaller, and I think that's something that's very special because there the wineries also, the German wineries typically have one owner, maybe the junior and the senior boss, and they are doing everything themselves. So they're doing everything from sales to the outside work, the farming, to the inside work, etc. And very often this leads to wineries where the people A, on the one hand side, work countless hours, and B, also, of course, where it's very tough to focus on the sales, on the distribution side, on the marketing side of things, because at the same time you have to do all the farming, right? And right now we have a very very good situation where we can focus a bit on building up the winery as a company, as a brand, as the whole organization, etc. While we have good partners on our hand that help us with the farming and the cellar in the future, right?
Yep.
Great. So now we are standing also in one of our vineyards. I think also one of the most prestigious vineyards that we have. It's the so-called Gräfenberg in Kittrich. It's a Riesling vineyard. Maybe you can say something about the vineyard itself, maybe it's a little bit about Kittrich, and also why we chose to have vineyards in Kittrich in Rheingau and not somewhere else in Germany.
So we are in the town of Kittrich, which is located in the Rheingau region, which on the other side is close to Wiesbaden, Germany. Maybe you've heard of this region, maybe you haven't, but it's one of the renowned regions in Germany, especially for Riesling. It's a white wine. And what's special about Kittrich is that it's a bit elevated, so we are here basically uphill. Most other towns, they are closer to the Rhine River and therefore also at a different altitude. And Kittrich is one town that is further up. And our vineyard here is also located almost at the top of this small hill, which makes the plot special because, of course, we have a slightly different climate. The soil is also different here than in some other towns. And what we like about this plot is that wines from here tend to be very mineralic, and they represent the soil very well in their grapes and also then later on in the wine. And we love to have this mineralic note in our wine. So we are very much looking forward to our first vintage and very curious to see how it turns out so that we represent the soil and all the location in our wine, how you can taste it in the glass and experience a bit of our region.
So as Julia just said, this is one of our most prestigious vineyards that we have here. But in general, in the village of Kittrich, we have multiple different plots. So this is just one of them. We have also one in the so-called Wasserross. It's just next to it. We will drive to it in a second. But you also have something in the Sandgrub. It's a little bit more down. It's not of such high altitude. And then we also have something next to the village in this direction. It's a bit to the west, to Erbach, in the village of Erbach. It's called Honigberg, exactly. And of course, all of these plots have different characteristics. And I think this is also something which is really interesting. And this is something that we in our wines want to show. Not just make one wine, which is kind of a combination of everything, but especially for these plots where we think it makes sense, like the Gräfenberg or some others that we have, really work the nuances out of it. So we have a very unique wine, but it's also kind of characteristic then for this very specific plot.
I think it will be very exciting to taste the full portfolio of our wines because every wine will have its different characteristics, as we just explained, and you will really get to understand the region and hopefully also get fascinated by how different it can taste if you just maybe walk some couple of 100 meters and you're completely tasting something different. This is what makes Riesling so special and why we also love it, because it has so much variety and so much potential. So yeah, let's see how it turns out.
Okay, let's go to the next plot. So we are on our way to the next plot, and Julia is already breathing heavily. Can you explain us why?
Well, I think it's obvious. We are growing the next vintage, even inside my belly. So yeah, it has become a bit more struggling for me to walk uphill. But yeah, here we are and doing my best. We before just said that we're in the Rheingau region, but yes. What is this region famous for? Why is it so special?
This region is, of course, very special for Riesling. It is a very special region because also how it's geographically located, because it's, of course, next to the Rhine River, but normally the Rhine River goes from south to north, right? So, but over a course over, I would say, 30, 40 kilometers, probably we will show you the right number. The Rhine River goes also from east to west, and this creates a very perfect geographical situation here for wine to be grown, because we have a lot of vineyards which are southward facing, which get a lot of sun, which get the perfect climate. And since it's also next to the Rhine River, it's just a perfect climate for growing wines, not only since yesterday, but since hundreds of years. Also the reason why we have a lot of traditional wineries here in the Rheingau region. For example, wineries like Kloster Eberbach, one of the largest wineries in Germany, or also like Schloss Vollrath, so wineries that exist since hundreds of years. But this makes it also so special for us, because we come here, start a new winery, and we will try to disrupt a bit the whole traditional way of the wineries with a very unique and maybe sometimes a bit naive, but also innovative approach. And yeah, we love this region, and I hope you will love the region too. So here we are now in the Kietricher Wasserross, as I mentioned earlier. So this vineyard is not facing southwards, it's more facing west, but this doesn't make the vineyard worse. In contrast, it makes it just more special. And yeah, it's a very cool vineyard. As you can see here, be showing also the little tower there. It's a so-called Turmberg. The vineyard and the Turmbergs are also very unique because they are very steep. Maybe Julia, you can show the vineyards of the Turmberg. Very steep vineyards. We have winemaker friends that told us that they drove down these vineyards with some tractors in the past. I'm not really sure whether I can believe this, but they are sometimes a bit crazy, and it's very dangerous to go down there. And this is a monopole vineyard from the winery Robert Weil, so nobody else has it. We also not gonna have it because he's probably not giving something away. Why should he? But it's great to have such great neighbors here. That just underlines the importance and the significance of this wine region, and especially the village of Kietrich. So we are now going back to the car to go to our third vineyard here in Kietrich, to the Kietricher Sandgrube. And I think also that's something which is important, is that we have not just randomly picked these vineyards, right? We have not just randomly picked the plots, but we have picked the plots in a way that they also are suitable and fitting in our idea of which wines we want to create in the future. And of course, these are going to be different wines, and these wines also should serve different purposes, should serve different moments, etc. Maybe Julia, you can tell us a little bit about the moments the wine should be suitable for.
So yeah, La Familia, what is it about? It's about more than wine, to what we believe, because a good wine always is shared with someone else or a group of people you like, and most of the times you have a good moment together. So what we want to bring along with all our wines is this feeling of sharing a good moment, and this moment can be a summer picnic, a party or a nice dinner that you cook with friends or just with your partner, or I don't know, Christmas, an event where you share with your family. So we want to produce wines that are suited for all of these occasions.
But it's not going to be one wine suited
No,
for
it's
all.
not. It's like, you know,
Different wines.
if you go to a party, what's best if it's summer? You need something that you can drink very cold, that is refreshing, that everyone likes, that doesn't have to be explained so much. So we will have a wine for this occasion that is, easygoing, lovely to drink, and then we will have wines of different characteristics that are maybe more suited to share, seated around a table, enjoying some nice cheeses or a nice dinner, where you maybe want to talk about the wines or maybe experience what you smell, what you taste. And there will also be very exclusive wines, motivate you maybe to also dive deeper into the wine topic, or you are an expert already and you want to really know how Grevenberg tastes like, and experience that in one of our bottles, or bring just a good wine to your parents-in-law to impress them and surprise them with a nice gift. So there will be wines for every occasion and for every kind of taste and palate and knowledge level.
Then let's go to Kittricher Sandgrub.
Yes, let's drive there.
Okay, maybe quickly a bit about the village of Kittrich. Kittrich is one of the villages which is not directly located next to the Rhine River, but maybe a few kilometers, 2, 3, 4 kilometers upwards, and therefore the vineyards here also tend to be cool, especially in summers like these in 225, where it's very hot. Vineyards directly next to the Rhine River, they tend to be hotter and also tend to create therefore wines with higher levels of alcohol. In general, tend to produce wines that are fatter, and we don't like this so much. We like the more elegant, more fresh wines. We believe that it's important that also after you drink one bottle of one wine, that you also want to drink the next bottle. And with these very fat wines, this is of course a bit more difficult. And I think therefore also the villages with the vineyards of a bit of a higher altitude in Rheingau, they're really benefiting from the climate change. That's also why when we selected and chose our vineyards here in the beginning of the year, we try to focus a bit more on these higher altitude vineyards, on these vineyards which in the past, maybe 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, weren't in super much focus, but nowadays definitely are and produce one of the best wines here in Rheingau, if not Germany.
Welcome to our plot in the Kittricher Sandgrub. You see the landscape looks a bit different. We drove downhill, so the altitude is also a bit lower, and also the vineyard is facing slightly into a different direction as the one that you saw before. Also, all of our vineyards, they have different ages. So some of the vineyards, they are a bit older and some of the ones a bit younger, which also has an impact on the amount of grapes that are grown on the wines, on how you treat the vineyard. Sometimes you want to try to reduce the amount of grapes that you have on the wine so that you get better quality or more concentrated quality. For younger vineyards, they have a lot of energy, so you don't have to control it that much because the grapes would be too full of water or flavor or whatever. So that's also treatment that needs to be considered when looking at the vineyards and when planning what to do.
So the Kittricher Sandgrube where we are right now is also one of the plots where we have a larger area. In general, of course, winemakers are trying to have always larger areas together because it just makes it economically more efficient to make the farming there. But this vineyard specifically, Julia, as you also already mentioned, it has some different characteristics. But which wine are you planning to make out of this vineyard? Is it going to be comparable to the Kittricher Grevenberg or different?
So, I mean, the Grevenberg is one of the most renowned plots or like locations in Rheingau. So I think this will be the very top quality wine that we're going to produce. Here we will get a solid quality out of the wine. And I think we'll use this plot, since we have also a larger area, which means more wine, to blend it with some other plots that we have. So the plan is to stick a bit to this German hierarchy of how to produce wine. So you have it's like a pyramid. So you start with a wine that represents your winery, is like the if you want to show, okay, who we are, what's our philosophy about, you just have that wine. Then you have a more like...
It's called Gutswein.
It's called Gutswein in Germany. So it's the wine of the estate. Then you have, on the second level of this pyramid, you have the so-called Ortsweine, which are wines that come from one town. So that means in our case it would be Kittrich. So there you also mix different plots together to create a blend and to represent kind of the taste or flavors of the town, of the different soils. And then you have the Lagenweine, which are just made from one plot to represent the specific location of this plot, the characteristics and everything. So I think we will use this plot to create some of the Ortswein, so the mid-level, and maybe also blend it into our Gutswein. We'll have to see how it turns out. We will probably also ferment each plot individually. So that means we have the flexibility to, once the wine is fermented, blend them together and create a unique taste for you and create the blends that we want to have for you. You might probably realize that in the Grevenberg plot you saw the grapes more exposed. So there actually the leaves were taken off by hand. And this is done for high quality vineyards because you want to make sure that the grapes don't get too wet or start to turn bad. So that's why you take it off, which will then on the other side expose the grapes more to the sun. So you have to be careful when you do this step because you want to avoid that they get sunburned. On the other side, the wind can reach the grapes more directly, so if it rains, they can also dry better. In this plot, we haven't done it. It still doesn't mean that there will be bad grapes, but it's just a different way of thinking how to handle the vineyards. Also, you have to think upfront which type of quality you want to produce or you can produce from each vineyard, and then decide on how you treat it, how much manual work you do, how much machine work you do, and how you take care of the grapes. And of course, you always have to watch them and see how they develop to make sure that you get good grapes from every plot.
For example, in this vineyard specifically, we have done it only from this side. Here you can see the grapes much better, right, from this side. On this side you can't see it at all or just a bit. And this is very often also done when we say remove the leaves at the shadow side, because of course of the shadow side there the risks of getting sunburn are much less than on the sunny side. But at the same time, of course, for example, removing it on both sides, it just creates an even better airflow. But as Julia said, each vineyard has to be treated individually. I think that's about it for our first English vlog. It's more a bit of an introduction video, I would call it. We hope you like it, so just stay tuned if you're really interested in how we're gonna build up the winery La Familia here in the Rheingau region in Germany. We have some more vlogs coming up where we will tell you more about the individual steps that we are doing to create amazing wines, to build up the brand, etc. pp. And Julia, what are you going to say to our hopefully soon-to-be followers?
We also have other accounts where we share some insights into our daily life, so please also check out our Instagram. And if you want to come by, or if you're by chance looking for your next holiday destination, we're super happy to have you here in the Rheingau to show you around and to also serve you some wines, maybe also one of our tasting series in the vineyard. So check that out, and yeah, see you soon.